ਫੋਰਟ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਸੀ 1832 ਤੇ 1837 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਇਹ ਫੋਰਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਾਰ ਆਫ 1812 ਏਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਅਮੈਰੀਕਨਸ ਅਤੇ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਆਰਮੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਅਤੇ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਆਰਮੀ ਨੇ ਫੋਰਟ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਦੇ 18ਵੀਂ ਸਦੀ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਇੱਕ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਾਜਧਾਨੀ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਸੀ। ਇੱਥੋਂ ਹੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਅਮੈਰੀਕਨਸ ਸ਼ਿਪਸ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ।
ਹੈ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਸਟ ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ, ਬਹੁਤ 1800 ਸਮਥਿੰਗ 'ਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਇਹ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਾਣੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਦੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਫੋਰਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਫੋਰਟ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਔਰ ਉਸ ਤਰਫ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਸਿਟੀ। ਇੱਥੋਂ ਇਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਉੱਚਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਪਹਾੜ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਹਿਲ ਜਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ।
I think that was when they had civil war for you between British and Yankee.
ਉਦੋਂ ਦਾ ਹੈ।
That's the time they, because you see there's guns all over.
ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਤੋਪਾਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਜ਼ਮਾਨੇ 1800 ਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਪੁਰਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਲ੍ਹਾ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਫੋਰਟ ਕਿਲ੍ਹਾ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਹੈਨਰੀ ਦਾ ਕਿੰਗ। ਵਾਓ, ਇਹ ਭਾਜੀ ਵੈਸੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਜਾਏ ਤੇ ਆਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਵਿਊ ਇਹਦਾ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਬਰਦਸਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਥੋਂ। ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਸਿਟੀ ਹੈਗਾ। ਔਰ ਉਹ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਲੇਕ ਅੰਟੈਰੀਓ, ਅਤੇ ਲੇਕ ਅੰਟੈਰੀਓ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਅੱਗੇ ਕਨਵਰਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਸੇਂਟ ਲਾਰੈਂਸ ਰਿਵਰ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ। ਇਹ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਤੋਂ ਭਾਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਓਨਟੈਰੀਓ ਲੇਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਰਿਵਰ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਅੱਗੇ।
ਓਕੇ।
ਸੋ ਰਿਵਰ ਇਹ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਮੌਂਟਰੀਆਲ, ਇਹ ਸੇਮ ਰਿਵਰ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਊਬੈਕ ਸਿਟੀ, ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਅਟਲਾਂਟਿਕ ਓਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਡੰਪ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਵਾਟਰ ਇਹਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ। ਸੋ ਆਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਸਿਟੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਫੋਰਟ ਹੈਨਰੀ। ਆਹ ਵੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਚੱਕਿਆ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੈਮਰਾ।
ਲੈ ਜਾਣਾ ਫੋਟੋ।
ਸੋ
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਓ।
ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ, ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਸਿਟੀ। ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਟਿਕਟ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ, ਅੱਗੇੋਂ ਟਿਕਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਦਾ ਆਈ ਡੋਨਟ ਨੋ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਦਾ ਟਿਕਟ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਇਹ। ਹਾਂ, ਸੋ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਟਿਕਟਾਂ ਟੁਕਟਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ। $20 ਦਾ ਟਿਕਟ ਹੈਗਾ। ਅਤੇ ਆਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਵਿਊ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਬਰਦਸਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਥੋਂ। ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ? The vault room was installed when the 1841 and 1843 ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਉਦੋਂ ਦਾ ਕਿਲ੍ਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ।
ਇਸ ਫਾਰ ਸਿਵਲ ਵਾਰ ਜਦੋਂ USA ਐਂਡ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼।
ਐਂਟਰੈਂਸ ਹਜੇ ਟੂਰ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਇਹ ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਸੋ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਕੁਛ ਇਹ ਫੋਰਟ। चलो जी आ जाओ गाइडेड टूर.
Hello everyone, welcome to Fort Henry. My name is Mrs. Pattersonell and I'm a soldier's wife here at the fort, and I'm here to introduce your guide, Mrs. Brown. Now this is a 45 to 50 minute tour taking you around the fortification, seeing what life was like here in 1867, as it is 1867, is it not? Yes, it is. Indeed, of course. Now if you have any questions after the tour during your overall visit to the fort, I myself will be in the upper guard room, the one with the brass plaque that's next to the washrooms. Happy to answer anything you might need. With that, I hand things off to you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Good day, folks.
All right, as I was introduced, my name is Mrs. Brown. I am a soldier's wife here at Fort Henry, and I'm your guide for your tour today. During the tour, feel free to ask any questions throughout. And is there any questions to start off the tour? All right.
Right.
Oh, yes, sorry.
What's the, which Henry is it named after?
So it was named after someone who was named Henry Hamilton, but because of a famous Hamilton down in the States, we had to use the first name. All right. Is there any other questions? Otherwise, I will tell you some important facts about Fort Henry. Fort Henry was built in the years 1832 to 1837 to defend the terminus of the Rideau Canal and the Royal Naval Dockyard down in the Kingston Harbor. At the time of its construction, Fort Henry was the largest and most costly fortification in British North America, west of the Citadel in Quebec City. Fort Henry is also a key site in a chain of fortifications all along Kingston and its waterways. Those waterways being the St. Lawrence River to the east, Lake Ontario to the south, and the Rideau Canal to the west. Is there any questions about that? Otherwise, I'll tell you a bit about where we are right now. If you'd like to follow me, I'll talk a bit about the Advanced Battery. The Advanced Battery is where we are, and the Advanced Battery is our first line of defense for any naval and any land attacks. For those naval attacks, we can see there's 2 cannons at the now restaurant, but in the past there was more than just 2, and they would defend our fort from any boat that was approaching. For land attacks, our ramp that is just that way is the only entrance into the fort, so it limits the amount of soldiers that can enter in, and we only have 1 entrance. The Advanced Battery is also used as a place to sell goods. So, as you can see along the walls, we have some shops. These are called commissariat stores. Commissariat stores were used by soldiers to purchase any goods that they might need. The people working the shops were civilians from the city of Kingston that would come up and buy the goods, or sell the goods to our soldiers here at the fort. As well, the goods they might purchase would vary, but I, as a soldier's wife, I would purchase fabric or knitting supplies so I can make clothing for my family. If you'd like to follow me this way, we'll make our way towards the ramp. When we are on the ramp, please do your best to just stick to one side. Is there any questions about that?
At any
Nope.
given time, what's the largest number of people that actually live here?
So the fort's capacity is 320 or so, but we as a fort were never at maximum capacity. We would typically have 100 to 150 soldiers here at the fort. That does not include officers or the soldiers' families, though. Yes, of course. As we walk down the ramp, just remember, let's stick to one side as much as possible as we enter down into the dry ditch. When we enter into this dry ditch, we'll just make a turn to your left, and I'll tell you a bit about it. You just want to follow me this way. Just over this way.
Oh,
There we go. Alright, as we fill into the dry ditch here, you can see there's a couple different features. And as I mentioned, this is a dry ditch, so it does not fill with water, as filling it with water would damage our limestone. We keep this dry, and it is built as a defense for the fort. One of the defenses is the size of it. It is 30 feet deep and 40 feet wide, which makes it pretty much impossible for a soldier to jump from an enemy soldier to jump into the fort. If they attempted, they'd be lucky if they just broke their leg. Now, we also have these rifle loopholes you can see here, which are those squares cut into the limestone. The rifle loopholes are cut on a specific angle that makes it really easy for our soldiers to shoot out at enemy soldiers, but difficult for enemy soldiers to shoot in at our soldiers. These rifle loopholes encircle the entire fort, and there's over 300 of them. Another defense we have is that there are 6 cannons currently pointed at us here in the dry ditch. Any guesses on where those 6 cannons are? can see us looking around. Alright, I'll tell you. They're around the corners. So we have 3 on either side in something called reverse firing chambers. In these chambers, there's 3 cannons, or carronades in this case, and they would shoot something called a canister shot. A canister shot is about the size of a coffee can, and it is filled with small pieces of metal or metal balls. These will fire, hit the corners, and then ricochet throughout the dry ditch, hitting any soldiers in the dry ditch, creating a bit of a Swiss cheese effect. Sorry, that was really cheesy. This would hit the soldiers, and as you can imagine, this would be a very effective defense mechanism, although we never employed it because Fort Henry was never attacked. The closest story we have to that was one time that a boat approached the fort. We fired 1 warning shot, and it returned never to come back. Now, our final defense to talk about in the dry ditch is our bridge here. This is not a drawbridge, as a drawbridge simply goes up and can easily be pulled down with gravity helping the enemy soldiers, but instead it is what is known as an equipoise bridge. An equipoise bridge pivots in the middle to create a solid wall. You can look up and see a coat of arms. That coat of arms is the British coat of arms, with a unicorn for Scotland, a lion for England, and shamrocks for Ireland. Yes.
So this is the width of the wall you were talking.
Pardon?
This is the width of the wall you were talking. The white.
Yes. So
Height and white.
Alright, if you want to follow me in this way, I'm going to take a moment to talk about one of our many plaques here at the fort. If we just all want to make this way.
Sorry.
All right. Now that we're all here, and we want to turn the corner, I'll talk about this plaque here. So this plaque is meant talking about the Ukrainian Canadians that were interned here at Fort Henry during the First World War. This is a sad part of Canadian history, but especially of Fort's history. So we just want to take a moment to acknowledge its presence. If you want to know more about the
Is this prison cells or?
No. This is that shooting area.
Oh, yeah.
This is the shooting area.
Once you've taken a look, make sure you leave space for others. It's a small group, and these are small cells.
It's a shooting area?
Yes, this is
Yes, so you can see it.
Oh wow. So ਇਹ ਸੀ ਸ਼ੂਟਿੰਗ ਏਰੀਆਜ਼ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਸ਼ੂਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਫੋਰਟ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ.
Soldiers would have to take that from one side of the parade square to the other without bending their knees or the arms. So if you can imagine like this, and this is after they continue a full day of work. Take it from one side to the other, repeating this as part of their punishment. As you can imagine, that would be quite the difficult task. Yep.
What is a cannonball weigh?
It varies depending on
What is it?
Oh.
What is it? What is she called?
Privy.
Oh.
exactly.
Oh, bottle.
Soldiers would be drinking beer that was relatively cheap, and they could purchase it up at the commissariat stores.
Were they making it?
Alright, before you're inside, it can be quite dark. Take a moment for your eyes to adjust. The doors can be quite low, so do watch your head. And the last thing is the uniforms here at the fort. We can see 2 different types of uniforms. We have the red uniform for infantry and a dark blue uniform for artillery. Anyone want to take a guess why we chose a red uniform for the infantry?
Excellent, good target.
Not quite, yes. Any other guesses?
The artillery didn't hit them?
Not quite. On the same page, but not quite. We actually chose it because it was the cheapest dye at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It is also one of our Queen's colors. We're a British regiment, so red is one of the Queen's colors. Dark blue was chosen for artillery because artillery works with cannons. Cannons work with black powder. Black powder is very difficult to clean from uniforms. So, to keep laundry a bit easier, trust me, I do the laundry here, it's quite difficult to clean black powder. We would use a darker uniform for the artillery. Now, while we're in this room, I also want to talk about something called the purchase system. The purchase system is how officers here at the fort would receive their rank. Officers could not simply work and have good merits and then simply be given the title, but they would have to pay. So take a moment for our eyes to close. When we enter, just make sure to come on in, fill the space. We're not a small group, and we want to make sure everyone can see the room.
Nice.
As we enter in, we can already see that the room is much nicer than the ensign's room.
ਇੱਧਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਓ ਭਾਜੀ
Big gun. Wow. That's a fancy cane.
It is.
And then they got a top hat. It's tap dancing
Yeah.
shoes.
So you can see under his bed there is a much larger, more solid bathtub, which just shows the difference between our ensign and our senior officer here. That senior officer may be being a lieutenant. So as a higher ranking officer, we can see he has much nicer furniture because he does not need to move around as frequently and he is more likely well off. And we can see his furniture is nicer, and you also see civilian clothing on his bed. Civilian clothing is a luxury only officers would have. When soldiers are entered into the army, their clothing would be taken. There's our drums playing outside. So as we take a look at the commandant's quarters here, I will note that the commandant is not a type of officer, but is a title for an officer. Our commandant is the highest ranking officer at the regiment. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. The commandant is also would not typically live at the fort. He would live down in the city of Kingston with his family in a nice big house, such with his wife and kids. The bed here is for those days where he may not be able to return home. Possibly there was lots of work, or there's lots of snow on the ground. This room is typically used as an office space. We can see by the desk in the middle of the room.
You don't want to be too tall in here, right? Yeah.
So these were not the original doors. Original doors would be the ones like behind you.
Okay.
Soldiers were not simply just shorter in this era.
Okay.
I promise you. Alright, we're now looking at the ante-room. The ante-room is a room where officers can come and socialize in their free time or after days of work. They can also come to this room to play some games. We can see a game of cards on the table. That would be an old card game called Whist, as well as a game of chess in the corner. Both of these games are quite strategic. This is because this is a military fort. Even when the officers weren't working, we wanted to use that military mentality. This mess was a room with quite a few rules. Namely, that there would be a president of the mess. The president of the mess would sit at the head of the table further away from us, and he would be in charge of making sure the rules were in order. He would typically be the commandant or occasionally another higher ranking officer. Then at the end of the table closer to us, the ensigns would sit in the officer's cookhouse. But here, the messman would prepare the dishes. So that means he would plate the food, and you would also purchase and keep track of it. In that register's book in the corner, that blue book there would be where you kept track of the food. We can see tonight they are having.
And just wine, not beer.
Yes, so this room was used for wine, but that would vary.
Oh, you just said there was no wine.
There is no wine.
Oh.
This is beer. Yes. So instead of wine, we have beer in this room now. And some of you may recognize the names on these beers, such as Molson's, Labatt, Dow. These all existed in 1867 and currently in your modern day you speak of. But beer would never be consumed by the officers. This was exclusively soldiers' drink. Officers would be respectable gentlemen, and beer was a poor man's drink. Now, I now bring you into this wine cellar to talk about alcohol.
ਸੋ ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਫੋਰਟ ਹੈਨਰੀ। ਇਹ ਸੀਗਾ ਜੀ ਟੂਰ ਫੋਰਟ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਦਾ, ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅੱਗੇ।